The Conquest of Canaan. After the Israelites had wandered in the wilderness for 40 years, following their exodus from Egypt, God led them to the edge of the Promised Land, the land of Canaan. Moses had passed away, and Joshua, his appointed successor, was now the leader of the Israelites. God spoke to Joshua and encouraged him, saying, "Be strong and courageous, because you will lead these people to inherit the land I swore to their ancestors to give them." Joshua 1 verse 6. Joshua sent 2 spies to scout the city of Jericho, the first major city in Canaan that the Israelites would face. The spies were protected by a woman named Rahab, who lived in Jericho and believed in the power of the God of Israel. In return for her help, the spies promised to spare her and her family when the city was conquered. Joshua 2 verses 1 to 21. The Israelites crossed the Jordan River, which God miraculously parted, allowing them to pass through on dry ground, just as he had done at the Red Sea. After crossing, they set up camp at Gilgal, where they renewed their covenant with God. Joshua 3 verses 14 to 17, for verses 19 to 24, 5:1-9. God gave Joshua specific instructions for the conquest of Jericho. For 6 days, the Israelites were to march around the city once each day with the priests carrying the Ark of the Covenant and blowing trumpets. On the 7th day, they were to march around the city 7 times. Then, when the priests sounded a long blast on the trumpets, the people were to shout, and the walls of Jericho would collapse. The Israelites followed these instructions, and on the 7th day, the walls of Jericho fell, and they captured the city. They destroyed everything in the city except for Rahab and her family, as the spies had promised. Joshua 6 verses 1 to 25. Following the victory at Jericho, the Israelites continued their conquest of Canaan, capturing city after city. However, not all battles were easy. At one point, they were defeated at the city of Ai because a man named Achan had disobeyed God's command by taking some of the spoils of Jericho for himself, which had been devoted to destruction. After Achan was punished, God gave the Israelites victory over Ai. Joshua 7 verses 1 to 26, 8:1-29. The conquest continued with the famous Battle of Gibeon, where Joshua asked God to make the sun stand still so the Israelites could complete their victory over the Amorite kings. God granted this miraculous request, and the Israelites defeated their enemies. Joshua 10 verses 12 to 14. Under Joshua's leadership, the Israelites conquered much of the land of Canaan. God gave them victory over numerous kings and their armies. Joshua allocated the land among the 12 tribes of Israel, dividing it according to their inheritances. Joshua 11 verses 16 to 23, 13:1-7. Despite their success, the conquest was not fully complete, and there were still some areas and people that the Israelites failed to drive out as God had commanded. This would later lead to difficulties as the remaining inhabitants of Canaan influenced the Israelites to stray from worshiping God alone. Judges 1 verses 27 to 36. Before his death, Joshua called all the tribes of Israel together at Shechem. He reminded them of all that God had done for them and challenged them to serve the Lord faithfully. Joshua famously declared, "But as for me and my household, we will serve the Lord." The people agreed to follow the Lord, and Joshua renewed the covenant between God and Israel. Joshua 24 verses 14 to 27.